Hello, hi. Today we are going to discuss on some of the basics of computer network. So before getting into network, let's have discussion on the term data communication. So data communication can be defined as an exchange of data between two devices which require some sort of transmission media through which the communication can take place. All these communication links and devices which are connected together is defined as a network. So it's an interconnection of a set of communication devices such as computer, laptop, desktop, your workstation, all are connected together to form a network. When you talk about network, there are different types of network. So you have a type of network called personal or home area network, which usually we have a network at our home. When you are connecting a Wi-Fi router and you're connecting your PC, laptop, your mobile phone, that becomes your home area network. The second sort of network is a LAN, or we call it as local area network. So whenever your network is confined to a building and the entire nodes which are there in the building are connected together, we call it as local area network. One of the example would be a lab which is connected with where all the PCs are connected under one network. Then the next comes metropolitan area network. If the network covers an entire set of region or a city, we call it as a metropolitan area network. Then next comes wide area network. Wide area network defines the network which we call as internet, as if where all the systems across the globe are connected together. The next comes wireless local area network. This sort of network is one where you are using your wireless system or a router device to get your devices connected. So that is similar to your home area network. Then the next network would be your storage area network. It contains a dedicated high-speed network that connects shared pools of storage devices to several servers, and this network relies on your LAN and WAN connection. Then the next network which we are going to discuss is virtual private network. A virtual private network is a network in the internet which is used for secure communication between two endpoints. So remotely you want to have a secure connection, you will be using a VPN connection, or we will be using a VPN network. So as we discuss on all this device connectivity, we need to be familiarized with the term called topology. So what is topology? It refers to the way or how the various nodes, devices and connection on your network are physically or logically arranged in relationship or in relation to each other. So there are different types of topology when it comes to the way it is arranged. They are mesh, ring, star, tree and bus topology. So going for the mesh topology, here all the nodes are interconnected with each other and the nodes are having a close communication between each other, and the failure of any one node will not cause any disturbance in the communication in the link. Then comes the ring topology. The ring topology is where each device has a point-to-point communication with the neighboring device, and each device is incorporated with a repeater which regenerates the bits and passes them. Then the next topology is the star topology. Each devices are connected to a centralized controller called hub, and the hub is having a centralized control over all the devices connected to it. Even though one of the link fails, it will not affect the system, whereas when a hub fails, it is going to affect the entire system, or the centralized system fails, then it is going to affect the entire system. Usually the centralized system is a hub system. Then comes the tree topology. A tree topology is a hybrid topology which usually is a combination of a bus as well as a star topology. And we have a bus topology. In bus topology, one cable acts as a backbone and all the devices are connected together in sequence in a single bus network by tapping it. When you talk about the network, there are some issues or some important network criteria we need to discuss. So first important criteria would be performance. So the performance of the system is often evaluated by two of the metrics. One is throughput, another one is delay. So throughput is the actual rate that the information is getting transferred. So how much information is getting transferred to the network is called as throughput. Delay defines how long it takes for a bit to travel across the network from one communication endpoint to another. Then the next factor would be reliability. Reliability is the measure of the failure or the frequency of the failure, how many times the system fails and what is the time it takes to recover from the failure. That defines the reliability. Then the next property would be your security. The security defines how to protect data from unauthorized access and damage to the system. So discussing on all these properties, we have to go for a proper rule which defines the communication takes place in an effective way. So the next term which we are going to discuss is protocol. So what is a protocol? A protocol defines the rule that has to be there between communication between a sender or the receiver or the person who is communicating, or two nodes which are communicating in between. So whenever two people want to communicate each other, they have to know either the language or they need to have some common thing through which they can communicate effectively. So protocol is one of the factor. Example of protocols are TCP, UDP and HTTP. TCP is transmission control protocol, UDP is user datagram protocol and HTTP is hypertext transmission protocol. So based on this protocol, all these layers have been, all this networking concept has been laid on. So one of the factors which defines the networking standard is open system interconnection. So OSI, which defines open system interconnection, was developed by a standardization organization called ISO, or International Standardization Organization, in the year 1984, and they standardized this network as which contains 7-layer architecture, and each layer has its own specific functionality to perform. All these layers work collaboratively to transmit the data from one end to another across the globe. So looking into this concept, the 7 layers of OSI model are defined as application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link and physical layers. So when in order to know in detail about all this layer, the first foremost layer from the top is application layer. The application layer is concerned, or it is having some set of procedures which it takes in while doing the transmission of data. So the first is network virtual terminal, means it allows you to log in on a remote host by using this network virtual terminal, or in case you are using a file transfer, you'll be using some file transfer protocols called FTP. And if you want to use mail services like you are using Google SMTP services, that all layers, or you may be using a directory services which provide distributed storage, these all things are incorporated in application layer, Then the next layer is the presentation layer. The presentation layer is concerned with the translation, encryption and compression of your data. So as the data moves from application layer to the presentation layer, the thing happens is that your data needs to be translated into some form. So that is done by translation, and in order to send your data in a secured way, you will be doing encryption, and in order to reduce the size of your data, you will be doing compression of the information. Then the next layer we are going to discuss is the session layer. The session layers allow two systems to enter into the dialogue, and they can communicate with each other either in full duplex mode or half duplex mode. And then comes synchronization. So defining synchronization is, it's actually like adding a checkpoint when a stream of data is getting transferred. So if a system is sending a set of file of 500 pages, it is advisable to add checkpoints after every 50 pages. And on the receiver end, on receiving the 50 pages, it will send an acknowledgement. And this proves that it has received the pages, 50 pages. And if some crash happens in between, so you do not transmit all the data all over again, rather than you will be transmitting only those pages which it hasn't received yet. So that is the role of session layer. Next layer is transport layer. The transport layer is responsible for delivering of message from one process to another. So from in order to do that, we have a set of process to be done. So first is service point addressing. So service point addressing defines a set of addresses which we called as port addresses, and this port address refer to the correct process which is attached to the port of the computer. So we call it as service point addressing. Second thing is that whenever your data is getting transmitted, it is divided into segments, and each of this segment is denoted by some sequence number, so that on the receiver end the segments are going or received as out of sequence, then they can be reassembled and they will receive the segments in order. Then we have connection control. So the connection control can be either of two types. One is connectionless or connection oriented. So in connectionless, you do not have any predefined connection to be set. In connection oriented, you need to define a connection prior while doing transmission. Then you have flow control, which ensures that all the data reaches the destination properly. And then we have error control, which checks whether your data are received on the other end in a proper sequence, as well as without any loss or damage. Then the next layer which we are going to discuss is network layer. The network layer is responsible for delivery of individual packets from the source host to the destination host. So basically in network layer we are bothered about logical addressing, or usually we call it as IP address, which refers to the addressing which is assigned to the individual node which are connected to the system. And this network layer is also working on routing of your packets. So as the packet moves from one host to another host, the routing or the router will be there, which will hold a table which will contain the details about all the routing information and route the packet according to the routing information maintained in the table. Then comes data link layer. The data link layer is responsible for moving frames from one hop node to the next hop node. So there are a number of steps or sequence we follow in data link layer. So the first thing is framing. So framing is actually all the streams of bits are divided into manageable small data units, which we called as frames. And then we are dealing with physical addressing. So physical addressing is basically we are dealing with the device address, or we call it as the MAC address, which is incorporated in the device. And here also in data link layer it is bothered about flow control and error control. Access control defines which device has control over the layer at any particular time. So that defines the data link layer. Then the next layer is physical layer. The bottommost layer, the physical layer, is responsible for movement of individual bytes from one node to the next node. And so in physical layer we have to first define what would be the physical medium or the transmission media through which you are going to actually transfer your information. It might be your cables like UTP cables, twisted pack cables, or you may have your OFC cables which are used as a transmission media. And here you represent your data in the form of bits, either in the forms of ones or zero. Data rate defines how what would be the actually transmission rate of your data. Then synchronization refers how the data gets organized in sequence on the other end. Then there is line configuration, which defines how smoothly your data flows. Then there is physical topology, and then we have to define the transmission mode. So either it may be a point-to-point mode or it might be a multi-point mode. So these all factors defines the term physical layer. So as we have already discussed, there are a number of different layers: application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical. And you can see here each of this layer is playing a significant role in transmitting the data. So first is application, where you can see it is allowing access to the network resource. Presentation is doing translation, encryption, and compression of data. And session layer is used to establish, manage, and terminate the session. Transport layer, it provides process to process delivery and recovery. Network layer is dealing with packets and it is bothered about source and destination delivery. And data link layer, it organizes the bit into frames and it provides hop to hop delivery. Then the last layer would be the physical layer, where actually you are transmitting bits of data over a medium, either in the form of mechanical or electrical specification. So here is a pictorial view of how data flows through a network. So right from the node X to node Y, you can see the data moves in the form from the sequence. Right from the application, it moves to presentation, then session, transport, physical, and in between you can see different routers are there. So while it is being transmitted through routers, it moves through three layers: network, data link, and physical layer. And at the receiver end, again these datas are built back and it reaches the application. So when two devices are connected in a network, we have a shared transmission media. So as I told you the steps, the first step would be an application which is running on your device. On the application layer, in the presentation layer, the data which is transmitted by the application layer would be encrypted, and then it would be compressed, and then it would be transferred to the next layer. In session layer, this data are divided into session and session ID is appended. In transport layer, the data is broken down into small segments, and every segment is also defined by the port number. Then comes the network layer, where your segments are appended with source and destination IP address, and this segment becomes a packet. And at the data link layer, the source and the destination MAC address and the CRC is added to it, and the packet becomes frame. And then the frame is sent to the physical device, where it is translated into some kind of signal which we call as bits. So that is the end of that OSI reference model. So we have the de facto standard, which is called TCP/IP protocol. Okay, in the year 1972, Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn outlined the protocol to achieve end-to-end delivery of data, and which resulted into transmission control and internet protocol suite, which has become the de facto standard for the internet. As most organizations use this for network communication, and since it was developed and it was in use before OSI model was developed, so it does not match directly with all the layers of the OSI model. So this became a standardized protocol, even though it came to exist long before the OSI model has been defined. So when it comes to TCP/IP protocol suite, we have 5 layers: application, transport, network, data link, and physical layer. So the initial three layers, application, presentations and session, are combined together and grouped together to form a physical layer. Then we have transport, network, data link and physical layer. So in the initial part of your application layer, you have a set of protocols: SMTP, FTP, HTTP. These are all protocols. In transport layer, we have a protocol called SCTP, that is stream control protocol, TCP, transmission control protocol, UDP is user datagram protocol, and then we have an protocol for network which is called IP, that is called as internet protocol. And then we have other protocols called internet control message protocol, internet group message protocol, RARP, that is address resolution protocol, RARP, that is reverse address resolution protocols. And then we have data link layer and the physical layer as underlying networks. Now when you talk about TCP IP protocol, it is widely used, and the internet which is being constituted, it's actually of TCP IP protocol. So while using TCP IP protocol, we are using 4 different levels of address. So they are physical, logical, port and specific address. And each of this address has a significant role in their layers. The first layer would be the application layer, which is dealing with specific address. The transport layer is dealing with port address. The network layer is dealing with logical address, and the physical layer is dealing with physical addresses. So let us discuss what are these various addresses. So first is physical address, or we call it as MAC address. Usually whenever a system is connected, or nodes which are being connected to a network, the manufacturer of particular device or node has some sort of addresses which are incorporated in your card or your network card. So that sort of address is called as MAC address, and the MAC layer interface directly with the network medium. So usually a MAC address would be a 6-byte physical address written as 12 hexadecimal digit, and every 2 hexadecimal digit is separated by a colon or a hyphen. So this is an example of a physical address or MAC address. Then the next address will be your logical address. The logical address is basically the IP address, and mostly we are using this address in the network layer. And this address is particularly used to identify the nodes which are connected in the network. So if I want to define source and destination address, I would define with this address. And this address can be changed by changing the host position on the network. So whenever the host changes its position, it can be redefined, and that is called as logical address. So what is a logical address? Basically it's a 32-bit IP address that is not embedded in the network card, but it is assigned to it for the purpose of routing between networks. So usually it comes in this form: 192.168.1.1. Then we have a port address on specific address. Port address, there are many applications running on the computer, and each of these applications are assigned, or it runs on a particular port. Usually a port number is a 16-bit unsigned integer which is having a range from 0 to some 65525 digits number. So port number, example 443, it's HTTP secure. Then port number 20 is called as FTP port number. So whenever I want to do a transmission as FTP, I'll be using port number 20. Then there are other set of address which we call as specific address. So we have a user friendly address, like we use rj@gmail.com or maybe google.com. So this sort of addresses, or we call as domain name addresses, that all comes under specific addresses. So So that's all about the addressing scheme of networks or TCP/IP model. Then comes the next is networking commands. The networking commands which we are using. So the first command would be trace RT or trace route. So trace RT, it determines the path taken by a particular system to reach its destination, and it can be determined by sending an ICMP protocol echo request message to the destination. So it keeps on incrementing its time to live field values, and all the path which the router has taken or displayed is, or the path which is displayed is actually the list of all the routers that the path or through which the source has reached its destination would be listed. So here you can see the example. In CMD you can type this, that is, I have given trace rt www.google.in, and it gives me a list of hops of intermediate routers through which it has traversed and it has reached the destination. Then the next command is ping command. The ping command verifies the IP level connectivity to another TCP IP computer by sending an ICMP protocol echo request message, and the receiver on the other side will be giving an echo reply for your message along with its round trip time. So if I want to check the connectivity of this system, I'll be using ping google.com. So in turn it is giving me the response by replying me with the time to live field and some statistic. Here I can also type my IP address ping 192.168.10.20. so it will be pinging a particular node which is having that same IP address, and it would be giving me the reply. Then the next command is ARP command. This command displays and modifies the entry in the address resolution protocol cache, so which contains one or more tables and that are used to store the IP addresses that have been resolved by this Ethernet or token ring physical addresses. So there is a separate table for each Ethernet or token ring network adapter which is installed on your computer. So going for this example, you have ARP. I have typed the CMD prompt and it is giving you the list of addresses which it has learned and it has stored in the table. So the right hand contains all the IP address, then it contains the physical address or the MAC address, and then it defines the type of connection. Either it is a dynamic connection or it's a static connection. Then the next command is netstat. It displays active TCP connections, port on which the computer is listening, and as well as it defines the Ethernet statistic, the IP routing table, and other protocol information. So when I'm using this command netstat, it gives a detail about all the addresses, the TCP connections which it has learned, local address, the foreign address, and it defines the state it has established. Then you have the command called ipconfig and ifconfig. So this command is used to display all the current TCP IP network configuration values of the node, and it refreshes whenever a DHCP protocol or a DNS setting is being done. So every time a new address would be assigned to your node, and this command is mostly useful on computers where you have a DHCP configuration, because every time the system is being assigned with a new IP address and that is getting stored. So I can check out by using ipconfig or ifconfig, and on doing this you can see it gives me the description of the address. Like you have link local address, I have my IP version 4 address 192.168.0.2, and it also defines the default gateway as well as the subnet mask of my system. Then you have a get MAC address. Every device that's compliant with the IEEE 802 standard has a unique MAC address which is called media access control, and the manufacturer assesses the MAC addresses and stores them in the device hardware. And some people use this address to limit the devices which they want to connect to their network. So MAC address is defined like this. So I will be using getMAC to check out which all devices are connected and which devices are disconnected to the network. Then the next concept would be about the connecting devices. So there are a number of ways your devices are being connected. So here we are going to discuss on 3 devices which are actually hub, bridges and routers. And as you can see in this diagram, in physical layer hub and repeater gets operated. On physical and data link layer, bridge and the other layer, bridge works on data link and physical layer, and router which works on network, data link and physical layer. So what is a hub? A hub is a device that operates only in the physical layer, and basically it is used to connect your system, and this hub will regenerate the corrupted bits and send them out. So hub can also act as a repeater which can regenerate the signal and it can pass it on to the node. Then comes switches. The switches operate in both the physical as well as the data link layer. As a physical layer device, it regenerates the signal it receives, and as a link layer device, the switch can check the MAC address contained in that particular frame. Now switch is also having a feature of filtering capability. It can check the destination address of the frame and can decide which port it can use to send that frame. So as seen in this diagram, the bridge is having a table called bridge table, which is having address as well as the port details. So you have a different LAN addresses. So here I have a bridge in between. So if I am transferring from this LAN 1 to this LAN 2, it will take on from port 1 and then it will move to port 2. Then the next device would be your router. So router is a 3-layer device. It operates in the physical, data link and the network layer. So as a physical layer, it regenerates the signal it receives, and as a device in a link layer, it can check the MAC address contained in the frame, and as a network layer device, a router checks the network layer addresses, or usually we call as the IP addresses. So we have a router, we have a separate LAN here and a separate LAN here in 2 different regions. In between we are going to connect by using a router. The router also maintains a table called routing table, which contains the source and destination IP addresses of different routers connected in a network. So that's all about the connecting devices. So we have seen hubs, bridges and routers. So this 3 connecting devices plays a major role in connecting your networks. So that's the end of this session. Thank you.